Vortex. I am spiritually vibing today. Do you know what that means? I hope you know what that means. I try to stay in the light as much as I can, but the darkness is so tempting, is it not? It's tempting because there are so many things to be angry about. You know, there are so many things to be angry about, and there are so many things to mourn in relation to society. And you know that we're like super duper analytical, and most of that analysis is not very good, you know? And I would be lying to myself, and I'd be lying to everybody else if I were to deny that and make believe that it's all positive. You know, like I was thinking about that in relation to people that I really, really want to like, but there are certain aspects of their personality that are very, very toxic. And, you know, I work with several people like this. I go to church with some people like this. Luckily, I'm not friends with certain people anymore. Mainly because they left. I was honest and they couldn't handle it, so they left. And I'm not complaining. But sometimes I miss them. I miss the good part of them. But, I think that it's really hard to accept that things are bad without, like, focusing on that solely, you know? Like, accepting that people are flawed, accepting that people are wherever they are, rather than trying to force them to change, force them to move on, force them to grow as a person when they have made a lot of decisions that don't allow them to do that. And it's my ego that declares that they need to be somewhere else. And I do that with myself as well. Like, I always need to watch out for that, because I can really hold myself back without even realizing it, because I'm expecting myself to be further along. I'm expecting myself to be in another place, in another state of mind. And it would be better for me if I just accepted wherever I was, knowing that eventually I'll be somewhere else. And I think that's a really difficult thing to just grapple with, the fact that you're uncomfortable and, you know, you have a negative state of mind. Because we always assume that if it's negative, it's bad. But that might not be the case, you know? Because if the negativity allows you to move on to a more positive place, and you just kind of had to sit in that for a while in order to realize the light of God, in order to realize that, you know, you had characteristics that, like, allowed you to deal with that. You know, because, like, what makes me quirky, what makes me, like, a weird person is also, like, what makes me an interesting person, you know? Like, the darker parts of me allow for the lighter parts of me. I know that sounds really cheesy and, like, hippied out, and I'm sorry for that. But it's true. Like, if you just trust that good will come out of it, good will come out of it because it has no choice. You know? It's like you've set your mind right. But I have to really, like, push myself to exercise that same sentiment towards other people, because a lot of people don't have that ability to see past whatever situation they're currently in. And, I don't know, man. Like, every time I go to church, I'm always, like, trying to figure out, like, at what point I'm gonna cry. Because, like, it typically happens. It's very rare that I don't cry during church. But I'm just really glad that, like, I didn't turn that part of myself off. And, when I was prescribed psychiatric medication, I knew that it was demonic because I couldn't be emotional. Like, I couldn't express myself the way that I was used to expressing myself. So I knew instinctively that there had to be something really, really demonic about that medication if I couldn't do what was natural, Which, it's always, like, really obvious to me that something is good or bad because of, like, the side effects of it, I mean, technically there are side effects with everything, but if the side effects prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do as a human being, then it's probably not worth it. That's just my opinion, though. I'm trying to get away from this, like, real, like, haughty, judgmental vibe that I put out because I don't think that it's very helpful. And I'm sorry. If you watch my stuff and you take medication, I mean, my feelings on that, but, like, it's not up to me to, like, tell anybody what to do. It's up to me to, like, express myself in the healthiest possible way. And hopefully it's effective. Hopefully it's inspirational. And I mean, people are going to get mad about a lot of stuff. A lot of people will say that, you're being hateful when that's not your intention. If you know that what you're doing is right, your heart's in the right place, then it doesn't matter what anybody has to say about it, But at the same time, like, I'm not going to refrain from, like, stating the things that I know about medication and about, the lack of accountability in our world. Because anytime there's no accountability, that thing is probably bad, for obvious reasons. Like, the types of people that don't take accountability for their actions and the statements they make and how they might negatively impact people, those people aren't good. It's as simple as that. And that's why I'm trying to figure out a way that I can say things to not sound like a bitch. But I realize that if you don't like my opinion, or if you get easily offended, like if you have really thin skin, things that I say that you don't agree with, they're going to offend you and you're just going to leave, Or you're going to, like, get mad and leave, like, a hateful comment or something. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you, like, misinterpreted me. I mean, maybe you did, but I have no idea. And, like, the longer I've lived on this planet, the more I realize that I don't know shit. And I think that one of the biggest problems with, like, something like social media is that you think that you know a person's intentions, and you really don't. I mean, I don't think that, like, most of these people know what their intentions are. I don't think that they're, like, cognizant of anything that they say or do. So, I mean, if they're not conscious of their existence, if they're not conscious of their behaviors and why those behaviors exist, then what does that say about the society we live in? You know? I mean, it's exactly how one would suspect it would be. You know? Like, I'm not going to have any expectation that society could improve if that society is not willing to be conscious of anything that it does. And if they're not willing to accept blame for anything, if they're just so quick to point the finger at somebody else, then it's like, what can you possibly do? You know? It's like if a person asks for help, and then you offer suggestions to help them, and then all they do is shit on those suggestions. Fuck you, you know? Like, don't whine about it. If you're not willing to, like, move an inch, that you don't deserve to complain about it. Like, because, like, you're not willing to take the steps necessary to change, to improve your condition, you know? But, you know, a lot of people don't want to hear that, and that's precisely why they leave this channel.